Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to SA Accounting Academy. Here's a short clip on one of our previous webinars. I hope that you really do enjoy it.
I just wanted to give you a very warm welcome on behalf of the South African Accounting Academy. As you can see, my name is Lettie Janse van Vuuren, and I will be your facilitator for the next, hour and a half to 2 hours. Right, our topic for today is avoiding POPI and ECT penalties. Now, I know we normally talk about POPI Act. They really don't like that at the regulator's office. So they have instructed us and everybody who does training and everybody who talks about the Act to please talk about POPIA and not the POPI Act. So excuse me if I revert to my old bad habits today. And then it says POPI Act instead of POPIA. All right. But the Protection of Personal Information Act is here, and we'll be spending some time on the background. What I have done is I've actually done a fair amount of work getting the webinar material ready for you. The next slide you'll see is just a little bio on me. That's my picture, and then that's where I've been and where I am now. All right, this is what I do for a living now. I'm a webinar host. I do training, and then I do consultation for auditing firms, accounting firms, and so on. I do apologize for the background noises, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, it is unavoidable at this stage. So please bear with me when there's banging and all sorts. Right. Also, the webinar is being recorded for your convenience, and that will also be available on your profile. The presentation you should already have. You can access all of this by going to your dashboard and then view events. Clicking on links and resources, you'll find your webinar material, your source documents, and your presentation there under the Files tab, and the webinar recording you'll find under the Recordings tab. Right. Please excuse my voice if it does start croaking a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. I'll try to just take little sips of water every now and again. Right. So moving along with our housekeeping still, claiming your CPD hours is really easy. There's a CPD tab also under your profile. All you need to do is click on the button that says Claim My CPD, and you'll be able to download and view your certificate and print of course. Now, we do have self-assessment questions. There are some self-assessment questions, 10 of them, that you'll be able to access. And the self-assessment questions will earn you an additional bonus hour. Right. So it does earn you a bonus hours CPD. Okay, and then you've just got the disclaimer from SAAA. You also have the ability to ask questions. If I can ask you, because it's a live webinar, if you ask a question, please just make sure that you put a little subheading or a regarding or a topic on your question. I always say, don't ask the question, is this still relevant, or when is this effective? Because then I have no idea of what you were asking. So ask your question as complete as possible. And what I then do is all your questions afterwards, I take it from our chat log that is generated. I put them onto a Q&A summary document with all the questions. All the answers are also then typed in, and that will also then be uploaded to your profile. Right. It's always good having a Q&A document. So if it's okay with everybody, we share your names and everything, unless you specifically want your name or your question to remain anonymous, in which case you can just say, take out my name and I will. All right. Okay, so that's all the logistics. I normally have a quote before every webinar, but today I've decided to have a truth rather than a quote. is the more technology we bring into our lives, the more our privacy seems to slip away. And isn't this the truth? Protection of personal information has become probably the biggest thing nowadays. We saw that now with COVID-19, with people working from home, with there being so much more information in clouds and information out there that we don't really know which information of ours is out there. And it's quite scary that we can be hacked at the drop of a hat. Right. So it really does become rather difficult, and we've got to think about all of that. If you provide information to somebody, let's say you go and visit an office park, which I normally have to do when I travel to clients to go and do consulting. If I do a face-to-face meeting, I'll go to the offices. You guys operate in office parks. When I get there, I sign the register. Okay? Name a visitor, I put in my ID number, I put in my cell phone number, put in my car registration, and I sign. That's personal information. What happens with it? Because in the wrong hands, it most definitely can be dangerous. Right. As clever as we think we are using all the technology, sad to say and sorry to report, but the hackers know so much more. And that's where the problem comes in. So let's have a look at the requirements of the two main acts that affect us. Right. What's on the agenda? That's our modules for the next 2 hours that we'll be focusing on. As you can see, I'm going to start off very briefly with an introduction and the basics of POPIA. Then we're going to look at the more difficult parts of the Act, but the ones that definitely need to be noticed. All right, so that's the theory behind the Act. And the ECT Acts I've done in one module, Module 5. Module 3 is a practical one that I've taken to say, what must you now do as an employer? What do you need to do with POPIA? What are some of the obligations that are placed on you? And it really is a big issue, right? It really is a very, very big issue. There are so many items in here that people don't know about. And you know what? Unfortunately, we can't plead ignorance anymore. I know it's sad but true. And that's precisely why we go through the hassle of doing all the research and you then attending a webinar like this. So I always try and give you practical things that you can take back to see, okay, in my workplace, what do I now need to do? How does this translate to your employee information that you've got? Because you've got employee files. When somebody resigns, what do? Do you just destroy their file or do you keep it? You know, it's every person, they call them data subjects, they've got the right to actually request removal of that information. Our biggest bane in life at the moment are these calls that we receive 7 o'clock at night. Good evening, is that Mrs. Janse van Vuuren? And I'll go, yes. And if they start with, the reason for my call tonight is so and so and so and so, then I know. They're either selling timeshare or they've gotten my number from somebody and this is now what they want to do. It's like a direct marketing type of thing. And the only way to get your number off that list is to literally go and say, you know what? Take my number off. But now, can you remember which boxes you ticked in the last couple of years? Because that's who's got access. You know, when you enter websites and stuff, it asks, can we send you some updates via email? Can we provide information to our partners? And a lot of times it happens because we don't read. I say to my son who's in grade 8 now, the biggest problem with you and why your marks are not 100% is because you don't read the question.
I hope that you enjoyed that video. For more of our webinar videos, go to www.accountingacademy.co.za. Thank you and have a lovely day.